Rejection is ugly, but when top-tier coaches are lining up just to explicitly say no thanks to a franchise, that is not just embarrassing, that is a full-blown organizational crisis. It seems like nobody wants to touch that team in Cleveland, and honestly, can you blame them? Before we dive into this absolute dumpster fire of a rival update and discuss what this means for our offensive coordinator situation, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat of this offseason madness. You have to appreciate the comedy of this situation. We are watching a division rival crumble in real time simply because nobody believes in their culture. It is being reported that Mike McDaniel has officially informed the Cleveland Browns that he is withdrawing from their head coaching search. He was scheduled for an in-person interview, but he decided he did not even want to waste the jet fuel. He looked at the situation, looked at the roster, looked at the history, and said, "I am out." This is now the second coach to flat-out refuse to interview with them. Chris Shula was the first one. He did not even let it get to the scheduling phase. He essentially told them straight up that he is not interested in being their coach. And when you sit back and think about it, it makes perfect sense. Cleveland is historically where coaching careers go to die. It is not a destination for a bright young offensive mind. It is a trap. We have called it the mistake by the lake for years, but now it seems like the professionals in the league are validating exactly what we have known all along. If it is brown, flush it down. That is the energy circling that building right now. Now, why does this matter to us aside from the pure joy of watching them struggle? It matters because as these candidates drop out, it narrows the field significantly. And who is still left on that list? Our very own Dan Pitcher. This creates a really interesting and slightly terrifying double-edged sword for us. On one hand, you laugh because the Browns are running out of options. On the other hand, the fact that Dan Pitcher has already had a second interview means there is a very real chance he ends up taking that job. Imagine that scenario for a second. We lose a key piece of our offensive staff, but he goes to a place where success is almost impossible. Is Dan Pitcher the best candidate they are interviewing? Probably not. But is he the most reliable candidate for what they want? Absolutely. He has been trained in our building. He has been groomed by the Blackburn family and by Zack Taylor. He knows how to operate within a structure. He is a company man. The Browns might look at that stability and think that is exactly what they need to fix their chaotic culture. So we might end up losing him, which sucks. But if history is any indicator, even a good coach can't fix a broken organization. I honestly wonder how many other coaches are going to pull out of this process. I would recommend every single one of them delete that phone number. Going to Cleveland right now feels like career suicide. It reminds me of when coaches took jobs in Tennessee or other struggling franchises and were fired 2 years later. It is a cluster. This brings up a massive debate that I see raging in the comments and on social media constantly. If we are shifting coaches and seeing movement, everyone is screaming for one name: Joe Brady. And I get it. I totally get it. The idea of bringing Joe Brady back to reunite with Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase is the dream scenario. It is the fairy tale ending. You look at what they did in 2019 at LSU, and it was magical. It was historic. It changed the way football is played at the collegiate level. Bringing that chemistry here seems like a no-brainer. I love the idea all day, every day. But we have to be realistic about the roadblocks here. The biggest problem with the Joe Brady fantasy is Zack Taylor. We know that Zack Taylor loves calling the plays. He is the head coach, but he is also effectively the offensive coordinator on game day. Joe Brady is a hot commodity. He is not going to come here just to hold a clipboard and watch Zack call the shots. He is going to want full autonomy. He is going to want to run his offense his way, and rightfully so. Plus, there is the very real possibility that Joe Brady lands a head coaching job somewhere else. There are still multiple vacancies across the league. The Bills' situation is fluid. The Falcons, the Commanders, there are like 6 spots still open. It is very possible Mike McDaniel goes to the Dolphins or the Ravens or whoever, and Joe Brady gets scooped up as a head coach. So while we sit here dreaming about a reunion, the rest of the league is also looking at him as a top-tier asset. However, I want to address a specific rumor that has been brought to my attention recently, and it actually gives me a little bit of hope regarding this situation. When Brian Callahan was looking at leaving us to take a head coaching job, there were reports that Zack Taylor said he would be somewhat open to giving up play-calling duties if it meant keeping the staff together or bringing in a high-level replacement. And this brings me to the question of the day, and I want to hear your genuine thoughts in the comments below. If we have the chance to hire Joe Brady as our offensive coordinator, do you think Zack Taylor should be forced to give up play-calling duties to make it happen, or do you trust Zack to keep running the show? I really want to know where you stand on this because it is the fundamental question of our offseason. Someone in our community actually reminded me that Zack explicitly mentioned this flexibility during the interview cycles. I do not know if he was just saying that to be nice or if he was genuinely serious, but the words were said. There is a possibility that if a talent like Joe Brady walked through the door, Zack would realize that for the good of the team and for the good of Joe Burrow, he needs to step back and let the specialist handle the offense. If we could get Joe Brady and Zack actually handed over the keys, that would be lethal. But again, that is a massive if. We also have to consider the Dan Pitcher element again. If Pitcher goes to Cleveland, that leaves a void. We have to fill it. Do we promote from within again, or do we look outside? This is where the panic sets in a little bit for the Browns. They are watching candidates flee. They might get desperate. And a desperate division rival is sometimes dangerous, but usually just hilarious. They might overpay for Pitcher. They might promise him the world. And if he goes, we have to be ready. I have been live streaming a lot during these playoffs, and the energy in the community has been incredible. We have so many new people joining the conversation, and it is clear that everyone is feeling the same mix of anxiety and excitement about the future. We watch the championship games and realize that the standard in the AFC is incredibly high. We cannot afford to have a bad offseason. We cannot afford to lose key coaches without having a platinum replacement plan. Seeing the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Bills operate at a high level just reinforces that we need our coaching staff to be elite. And that is why this news about Mike McDaniel and Chris Shula saying no to Cleveland is so satisfying, but also so important. It shows that the league views the AFC North hierarchy clearly. People want to be part of winning cultures. They do not want to go to the basement. It validates everything we feel as fans. We have the quarterback. We have the weapons. We have the culture. Cleveland has. Well, they have a lot of money and a lot of problems. Ultimately, if Dan Pitcher leaves for Cleveland, it will hurt in the short term because he knows our system. He knows Joe Burrow's tendencies. He knows our audible language. That is intel going directly to a rival. That is the scary part. It is not just about him calling plays for them. It is about him dissecting our plays for their defense. That is the chess match we are playing. But if he is leaving to go to a sinking ship, maybe he is not the savant we think he is. Or maybe he just wants the promotion that badly. We are going to keep monitoring this coaching carousel closely. Every time a coach withdraws from the Browns search, it is a victory for common sense. But we need to keep our eyes on the prize. The prize is keeping our offensive continuity or upgrading it with a superstar like Brady. We cannot settle. If we settle, we stagnate. And in this conference, stagnation is death. I want to thank every single one of you who has been tuning into the live streams and gifting memberships and dropping comments. The support helps this channel grow and allows us to cover these stories with the passion they deserve. It helps me produce content a little bit better and keep the lights on. We have built a community here that actually understands the game and isn't just reacting to headlines, but analyzing the moves. So keep an eye on the newswire. If Dan Pitcher gets hired by Cleveland, we will have a lot to talk about. If Joe Brady gets an interview, we will have a lot to celebrate. And if the Browns end up hiring some random position coach because everyone else said no, we will have a lot to laugh about. It is going to be a wild few weeks. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions on the coaching chaos. I will see you guys in the next one.